Billionaire grandma exposed, hidden story behind the waitress's necklace revealed, life-changing secrets uncovered. The rain tapped lightly against the window of the diner like a gentle reminder that life had its own rhythm. Sarah, a spirited 20-something waitress, was caught up in her usual whirlwind of orders, laughter, and the clattering of dishes. The scent of fried foods filled her senses, but beneath it all lay a heaviness in her heart, tangled between the responsibilities of caring for her single mother and younger siblings and the gnawing desire for something more, a better life, a dream too elusive to grasp. That rainy afternoon, as Sarah wiped down the sticky tables, she found it, a vintage necklace, stunning and ornate, tucked away in a napkin. Its sparkling gems danced beneath the light, igniting a wild flicker of excitement in her chest. She picked it up, feeling its smooth coolness against her palm, but there was something deeper, a connection she couldn't explain. It was as if the necklace whispered secrets of the past, calling her name with a haunting familiarity. Little did Sarah know, the necklace belonged to Ms. Eleanor, the town's enigmatic millionaire, a woman who strode through life cloaked in mystery and silence. The townsfolk loved to speculate about the glamorous woman who drifted past them like a ghost, but few had the courage to reach out, to discover the heart beating beneath her luxurious exterior. Amidst the laughter of a community fundraiser, Sarah would find herself face to face with Eleanor. They began exchanging tentative smiles and words, a brief yet impactful conversation that would echo within Sarah's soul. In that fleeting moment, she caught a glimpse of the pain hidden behind Eleanor's poised facade, a story woven with loss and estrangement, a mother separated from her daughter. Sarah sensed their lives intertwined, molded by heartache and desire for connection, but when Sarah discovered the necklace's origin, she felt the weight of its implications crash down on her. This beautiful piece represented everything Eleanor had lost, the bridge to a relationship severed. The townsfolk, buzzing with curiosity, urged Sarah to return it. Discussions of right and wrong swirled around her like a tempest, poor versus rich lighting the fires of prejudice. Caught between loyalty to her struggling family and her growing friendship with Eleanor, Sarah stood at a crossroads, her heart heavy with doubt. Could returning the necklace mean financial stability for her siblings? Or would it betray the budding bonds she had formed? Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. Tension crackled in the air, the diner buzzing with fervent debate as Sarah wrestled with her feelings. Each face she passed reflected a different opinion, some sympathetic, others harsh. Yet, the true value of love and forgiveness tugged at her heart, reminding her that this necklace might unlock doors both for Eleanor and for herself. As she stood, holding the necklace, Sarah felt the community's eyes upon her, the weight of their expectations pressing down like a heavy wool blanket. Just seconds away from a monumental decision, the world seemed to pause, and in the quiet, she was on the brink of discovering whether she could bridge the gap between two broken hearts or if she would lose her chance at claiming her own piece of happiness forever. The moment hung, suspended in time. Sarah closed her eyes, battling the storm inside her. Part of her wanted to echo the chorus urging her to return the necklace, to play by the rules society had set. Yet another part felt an unshakable bond with Eleanor, as if they both existed on the outskirts, seeking reconciliation of their complicated realities. A customer cleared his throat, snapping Sarah back to her bustling surroundings. She looked around, her heart racing as she noticed the curious gazes surrounding her. She could feel the weight of their judgment, like an anchor trying to pull her down. Would they understand the deeper currents of her choice? Or would they only see black and white, right or wrong? Determined to make a decision, Sarah gently placed the necklace back down on the counter. In that act, the diner fell silent. She took a deep breath, feeling the vibrations of everyone's attention pressing against her chest. She said, "I think I need to speak with Ms. Eleanor." Murmurs erupted. Some whispered congratulations for her assertiveness, while others expressed their disbelief. Sarah swung her gaze towards the door, but there was a moment she hesitated, thoughts swirling. Then, as if drawn by an unseen force, she stepped out into the rain. Each drop felt like a cleansing balm on her skin, urging her to forge ahead. The town was small, and Eleanor's mansion wasn't far. But with every step, doubt ticked away at her resolve. What if Eleanor didn't want to see her? What if the relationship she thought was budding was just a mirage? As she approached the grand entrance, Sarah hesitated, her finger hovering over the doorbell. Her heart raced like a drum echoing in her ears. What am I even doing? She whispered to herself. Wouldn't it just be easier to let the necklace slip back into the hands of fate, to be whisked away from this tangled web altogether? But before she could second-guess herself, the door swung open. Sarah? Eleanor's voice was soft, a mix of surprise and curiosity laced with something deeper perhaps, longing. "Hi, Ms. Eleanor," she managed to speak, her voice trembling. "I have something that belongs to you." Eleanor's gaze fixed on the necklace glinting in Sarah's palm, and for a moment, the world blurred around them. The storm inside Sarah's mind quieted, and she felt the tension of their intertwined past wash away. "Thank you for returning it," Eleanor said finally, her voice steady yet steeped in emotion. "But I hope you realize, you must understand more than just its worth." Just then, as if their conversation had awakened an unseen specter, the wind howled and the skies darkened, casting an eerie shadow around them. Sarah felt the conversation shift, a weight in Eleanor's words, an unspoken truth that could change everything. What history lay behind that necklace that would reveal both their futures? As they stepped inside, the door creaking shut behind them, Sarah braced herself for a revelation that might change the course of their lives forever. Would she unravel the mystery of their connection within the walls of Eleanor's mansion, or would the truth lead to more heartache? As the door clicked shut, Sarah stepped into the dimly lit foyer, feeling the weight of Eleanor's gaze on her. The air thickened with unspoken feelings, swirling around them like the growing shadows from outside. She glanced around the grand entryway, the ornate decorations whispering of old stories and secrets, but her focus remained on Eleanor. "Please, come in," Eleanor said, her voice almost a whisper now as she motioned toward a cozy sitting room off to the side. "We need to talk." With every step deeper into the mansion, Sarah's heart thumped in her chest, anticipation mingling with trepidation. She followed Eleanor towards a plush sofa, the fabric soft beneath her fingers as she settled into it. Eleanor took a seat across from her, a delicate hand resting on the arm of the chair, a quiet strength in her posture. "Why did you come here?" Eleanor asked, her tone soft but probing. "I felt your hesitation back at the diner." I wanted to return this," Sarah said, holding the necklace up like a fragile truce between them. "But I also needed to understand why it meant so much to me and to you." Eleanor's eyes softened, her expression shifting as if a curtain had been pulled back. "That necklace, it belonged to my mother," she admitted, her voice quivering slightly. "It symbolizes a lot to me, not just its value, but the bond one lost." The pieces began to fall into place for Sarah. This was more than a simple family heirloom. It was a key to a history overflowing with emotion. "So, it's about connection. About family?" "Exactly," Eleanor replied, a distant look crossing her face. "When my mother passed away, things changed. I had to forge my way into a world that felt so foreign without her guidance. Each piece of jewelry tells a story of who we were and who we hope to be." Sarah's heart ached for Eleanor, sensing the weight of her loneliness. The lingering shadows of past traumas felt real in the room, heavy and palpable. "I didn't know," Sarah started. "I thought you were just this wealthy woman. I didn't realize you struggled." Eleanor finished for her, a flicker of surprise in her gaze. "Wealth doesn't exempt us from pain, Sarah. It merely adds layers to it." The rain tapped rhythmically against the windows, breaking the quiet with a gentle melody, as the two women exchanged their stories. Sarah found herself revealing pieces of her life as well, her dreams, her frustrations, the burden of worrying about tomorrow while longing for something more. There was an understanding blossoming between them. In sharing, they both began to see beyond their circumstances. "I always felt somehow tethered to you," Sarah confessed, feeling exposed yet liberated. "Maybe it's because we're both searching for belonging, for a connection." Eleanor nodded, her gaze steady. "Yes. But we also must confront our histories. If we are to move forward, we have to face the unresolved parts of our lives." Sarah picked at the necklace, a shiny reminder of not just loss but also of hope. "What now?" "What now," Eleanor repeated softly, "is what we make of this friendship. Let us explore it together." Before either of them could fully comprehend the weight of those words, a loud crash echoed from the other room, breaking the fragile moment and sending a shiver down their spines. What was that? Sarah's voice trembled, the warmth of their connection suddenly overshadowed by uncertainty. Eleanor's expression shifted, her features hardening as she stood up quickly. "I don't know, but we should be careful with that." The questions hung thick in the air. What had just disturbed their fragile bond? Would this new connection survive the shadows lurking in the mansion, or was there more hidden darkness waiting to be uncovered? As they moved cautiously towards the sound, a sense of dread loomed in Sarah's chest. What awaited them could change everything. Eleanor led the way, her footsteps quick and silent. Sarah could hear her heart thumping wildly in her chest, matching the rhythm of the rain that pelted against the windows. Each step toward the source of the crash felt like a leap into the unknown. "Stay close," Eleanor whispered, glancing back at Sarah, her expression mixed with fear and determination. The air felt thick, charged with tension. What could they possibly find in the depths of this mansion? They entered a long hallway lit only by flickering sconces that cast eerie shadows on the walls. The crash had come from the room at the end of the hall, a study lined with bookshelves that looked as ancient as the house itself. As they approached, Sarah's mind raced with possibilities. Had the wind knocked something over? Or was there more to discover than just a few fallen books? Eleanor turned the doorknob slowly, the creak of the hinges sounding like a warning. Inside, the room was a mess. Books lay strewn across the floor, and a chair had toppled over, hinting at some unseen chaos. But it was what was on the desk that seized their attention. A framed photograph, its glass shattered, lay among the debris. Eleanor stepped forward, the light catching her face just right to reveal an expression of shock. "My father," she murmured, bending to pick up the remains of the frame. Sarah felt a rush of confusion, not understanding the sudden shift in Eleanor's demeanor. "What's wrong?" Sarah asked, her voice barely above a whisper. "It's a photo of my family," Eleanor replied, her fingers delicately running along the edges of the broken glass. "The last photo we took together before everything changed." "Everything?" Sarah prompted gently, sensing the weight behind those words. Before Eleanor could respond, another crash echoed from another room on the other side of the study. The two women froze, their attention snapping towards the sound, as if the mansion itself was protesting their presence. "What is happening?" Sarah breathed, her heart racing. "Should we check it out?" Eleanor shook her head, her expression torn. "We can't just ignore it. But we must be careful." The tension hung in the air as they moved cautiously toward the sound. Each step felt like crossing into a chamber of secrets. Just as they reached the doorway, a faint cry emanated from within, a sound raw with pain and confusion. "Did you hear that?" Sarah's voice wavered. Eleanor nodded, eyes wide with fear. "Yes. It sounded like someone is in trouble." They exchanged a quick glance, sharing unspoken resolve. Together, they pushed the door open. The room was dark, curtains drawn tight against the outside world. In the corner, a figure huddled, small and vulnerable. The moment their presence filled the space, the figure turned, revealing a pair of frightened eyes. "Who are you?" A young girl's voice trembled, breaking the stillness. What are you doing here? Eleanor gasped, shock flooding her words. The girl's gaze darted from Eleanor to Sarah, fear etched in every feature. I didn't mean to intrude. I just came looking for my mother. At that moment, the gravity of the situation hit Sarah like a wave. What did this little girl know about Eleanor's family? What thread connected their stories? Questions spiraled in her mind as she exchanged a look with Eleanor, both realizing just how complex their paths had become. Sarah hesitated. What if this girl is part of the story we need to uncover? As they waited for a response, the sense of urgency deepened. There was something here they hadn't anticipated, something that could unravel more than they had thought possible. What secrets did this girl hold? And how was her presence about to change everything they thought they knew? The girl's wide eyes shimmered in the dim light as silence filled the room. Eleanor took a step forward, her voice trembling yet firm. What's your name? Lucy, the little girl replied, her gaze shifting anxiously. I didn't mean to come here, I just thought I could find her. Eleanor's heart sank at the desperation in the girl's voice. Find who, Lucy? Where is your mother? She went missing a long time ago, Lucy stammered, gripping her knees tightly. I heard a sound, I thought it was her. I just wanted to see. The weight of those words lodged deep in Eleanor's chest. It felt like a thread pulling at her, stitching her own past to this girl's in a strange tapestry of grief and loss. What do you mean you thought it was her? Did you hear something? Lucy nodded, tears brimming in her eyes. Sometimes, at night, I hear her calling me. I thought, maybe, if I came back to this house, I could find her. Eleanor exchanged a glance with Sarah, realization dawning between them. This house, it has a history. Maybe your mother is connected to it in a way we don't understand yet. The flickering sconces serenaded the silence around them, and for a moment, fear mingled with hope. Sarah could sense Eleanor's internal struggle caught between the haunting memories of her own family and the urgent plight of this young girl. Lucy, Eleanor said softly, kneeling down until she was at eye level with the girl. Do you know why your mother came here? What she was looking for? Lucy's brow furrowed in thought, the confusion evident on her youthful face. I remember her talking about the old mansion. She said it held secrets about our family. Your family? Sarah repeated, intrigued. What kind of secrets? I don't know, Lucy admitted, her voice barely a whisper. Something she didn't want to tell me. She said I was too young. But she went searching for someone. Eleanor's heart raced. Could this little girl and her mother be tied to her family's past? The photograph her family, could the shattered remains on the floor symbolize a connection that had been lost? I'm so sorry, Lucy, Sarah said gently, her heart aching for the little girl. But we can help you. We'll figure this out together. Eleanor rose, determination etched across her face. Where did you last see your mother? Can you remember anything about it? Lucy's brow wrinkled with concentration, and then she whispered, at the garden. Behind the house, going toward the old shed. The shadows danced around them, flickering like memories searching for light. Lucy's words hung in the air, rich with urgency and an uncanny connection to Eleanor's own search for truth. Let us go, Eleanor said, her voice steady. We need to check it out. There may be answers down there. The trio moved as a single unit, drawn by desperate hope and the undying wish to connect the broken pieces of their lives. As they stepped into the hall and the darkness seemed to pulse around them, each held their breath, afraid of what the answers might reveal. The garden awaited them, hiding its secrets beneath dripping leaves and shadows thicker than the night itself. What awaited the three of them there would change the course of their lives in ways they couldn't yet imagine, and just as the door creaked open to the outside, a sudden gust of wind blew through the corridor, extinguishing the flickering lights, plunging them into darkness once more. What unseen force was at play? And would they uncover the truth they sought, or would they become yet another chapter in the mansion's troubled history? The wind howled outside, a chilling reminder of the storm raging beyond the safety of the old mansion. Eleanor felt the low rumble in her bones, an echo of uncertainty that heightened her awareness. She glanced at Lucy, whose small frame seemed even more fragile in the enveloping darkness. "Stay close to me," Eleanor said, her voice steadying as she wrapped an arm around Lucy's shoulder. Sarah held onto Eleanor's other side, mirroring her protective instinct. As they stepped into the garden, the air grew thick with the scent of damp earth. Moonlight spilled through the scattered trees, casting silver beams that illuminated patches of the grass. Shadows flicked, twisting as if alive. "Over there," Lucy pointed, her finger trembling, directing their gaze toward the old shed half hidden beneath climbing vines. Its once bright paint now lay cracked and peeling, like a forgotten portrait of better days. Eleanor's heart raced. What secrets did that shed guard? Cautiously, they approached, each step echoing with a sense of foreboding. The wooden door creaked ominously as Eleanor pushed it open. Dust motes danced in the thin beam of moonlight that seeped inside, revealing shelves cluttered with old tools and faded memories. "Look!" Lucy exclaimed, her eyes widening at a faint glimmer near the back wall. Eleanor squinted into the darkness and saw it too, a buried trunk, wrapped in cobwebs, covered in dust. Could it be? Eleanor started, her voice trailing off, hopes flaring and extinguishing like the lights back in the hallway. She knelt down, clearing away debris with hesitant fingers. "Let us open it," Sarah encouraged, her breath catching with the weight of possibility. With a mixture of excitement and trepidation, Eleanor grasped the trunk's latch. It clicked open, and with a gentle tug, she lifted the lid. Inside lay a collection of items, dusty journals, a delicate locket, and a small, carefully folded photograph. Eleanor reached for the locket first, its surface surprisingly warm against her palm. She opened it carefully to reveal two faces, one of a woman with soft eyes and the other an unmistakable likeness of Eleanor's grandmother. A rush of memories washed over her, memories tangled with childhood whispers of family secrets long buried. "Is that your mother?" Lucy asked, leaning closer to see. "No," Eleanor breathed, astonished. "But it could be my grandmother." An unexpected rush of emotion tightened Eleanor's throat. The old stories about family ties she had dismissed suddenly bridged decades of distance. Could Lucy's mother and her grandmother have been more than strangers in time? As Eleanor held the locket, a sudden chill crept through the garden. The wind picked up, causing the leaves to rustle. Just then, they heard a distant voice, faint but undeniably familiar. "Eleanor, Eleanor!" Her name floated through the air, a whisper of longing and sorrow that sent shivers down her spine. "Did you hear that?" Sarah gasped, eyes wide. "I did," Eleanor breathed, her heart pounding. This was not just about Lucy anymore. It was about unraveling all she thought she knew about her family. They all froze, eyes darting around, searching for the source. Fear clutched at Eleanor, but she felt something else ignite, a powerful yearning to understand. "Lucy, we have to find out where that voice is coming from," Eleanor urged, feeling the connection drawing her deeper. Lucy nodded, determination brightening her eyes. "Back here." Before Eleanor could prepare herself, Lucy dashed toward the furthest corner of the garden, disappearing among the dense thicket. "Lucy!" Eleanor called out, heart racing. But Lucy didn't stop. And just like that, a new adventure awaited under the cloak of night. What would they uncover? What lurking secrets were intertwined with the mysterious voice that called Eleanor's name? Eleanor stood frozen for a heartbeat, the shock of Lucy's sudden disappearance slicing through the easing mist of curiosity. A jumble of worry and excitement surged through her veins, making it hard to breathe. "Lucy!" She shouted again, urgency clawing at her throat. This was no game, the weight of the night pressed down on them like a heavy blanket. "Eleanor, we can't just stand here." Sarah pulled at her sleeve, her voice shakier than Eleanor had ever heard. "What if she trips or gets lost?" Eleanor nodded, pushing aside her own fears. With Lucy's semblance of bravery igniting something within her, she moved forward, Sarah swiftly at her side. Together, they plunged into the darkness behind the shed. Twigs snapped underfoot, the sound amplified in the still air, while the faint murmur of the storm brewed ominously overhead. "Lucy?" Eleanor called out again, her voice more steady this time but quivering at its end. The garden felt haunted, shadows creeping where the light dared not wander. Every rustle of leaves and distant rumble of thunder made her heart race faster. "I'm here." Lucy's voice came back, faint but clear, echoing like a beacon through the maze of brush. Eleanor and Sarah hurried in the direction of the sound. They pushed past an old flowering bush, its petals hanging like forgotten treasures in the gloom, and entered a small clearing bathed in ethereal moonlight. There stood Lucy, pointing towards the far end of the clearing where a faint glow flickered. It drew them in like a moth to flame, and the trio edged closer, anticipation dancing in the air between them. "What is it?" Sarah whispered, awe tightening her voice. As they drew closer, Eleanor realized the glow emanated from a shallow pit, its edges overrun with tangled roots and stones. She glanced back at Lucy, whose eyes sparkled with an otherworldly light. "We have to see," Lucy insisted, her small form brimming with eagerness. With a nod, Eleanor knelt beside the pit, brushing away fallen leaves and dirt. The glow intensified, revealing a small, intricately carved box, shimmering with a warmth that felt almost alive. It pulsed softly, inviting her touch. "Do you think it's safe?" Lucy asked, moving to Eleanor's side, curiosity shining in her eyes. Eleanor hesitated. What if it was more than a mere box? What if it held something dangerous? But then she felt that same sharp yearning, something pulled at her from within, urging her to uncover the truth, whatever it might be. "Whatever it is, we need to find out." With newfound confidence, Eleanor reached out, fingers trembling with anticipation as she lifted the lid. Inside, nestled in velvet, lay a necklace delicate and shimmering, the pendant resembling the locket she had discovered only moments earlier. "It's beautiful, but why is it buried here?" Sarah murmured, her hand flying to her mouth in astonishment. Before Eleanor could respond, the whisper returned, clearer this time, echoed by a gust of wind that swept through the trees. "Eleanor, Eleanor!" A chill raced down Eleanor's spine. The voice held more than just a call, it carried a weight of a message long buried, beckoning her into a labyrinth of family lore that had remained hidden for so long. "Do you think it's connected to your grandmother?" Lucy's eyes shimmered with expectation. "Maybe," Eleanor said, breath quickening. "But what did she want me to find?" The weight of the unknown settled around them, thickening the air with mystery. As Eleanor donned the necklace, a heavy silence hung, interrupted only by the distant rumble of thunder. What had she just awakened? Suddenly, the wind shifted, carrying an echo of laughter mixed with sorrow. Then, as her heart raced, she felt something shift behind her, a presence they could not see but could feel creeping into the clearing. "Eleanor, let us go back," Sarah urged, pulling on her arm, but it was too late. The shadows deepened, and a new chill swept the garden as the storm raged louder, as if warning them to retreat, but Eleanor knew they were just on the cusp of uncovering something powerful. "We can't leave now," she felt. It in her bones, a part of her family history, blurred but vital, was waiting to be revealed. "Are you ready to find out what lies ahead?" As they braced for whatever would come next, the garden seemed to hold its breath, and Eleanor realized they had stepped far beyond the realm of the ordinary, into a tangled web of secrets that was only beginning to unravel. What if the voice isn't just a whisper of the past? With a heartbeat caught between fear and exhilaration, Eleanor wondered what revelations would emerge from this stormy night. Would they be prepared for the truth waiting on the other side? Eleanor felt a rush of adrenaline as shadows flickered at the edges of the clearing. The necklace hung heavy against her chest, an anchor to her family's hidden past. Sarah's grip tightened on her arm, doubt radiating from her. "Eleanor, I really think we should go." But Lucy was already moving closer to the darkened edge of the clearing, eyes wide with fascination. "What do you think it means?" she asked, turning back to Eleanor, her voice barely above a whisper. I don't know," Eleanor answered, her heart pounding with curiosity. The laughter echoed again, this time swirling through the trees like a breeze awakening long-silenced voices. "Maybe it's a warning," Sarah suggested, glancing around uneasily. "No," Lucy countered, shaking her head. "It's something more. I can feel it." Her gaze was glued to the tree lean, where shadows danced unpredictably. "Something wants us to find it." Eleanor's breath caught in her throat. What if Lucy was right? What if this discovery was meant to change everything? It was that spark of possibility that propelled her forward. What if it ties back to my grandmother? What if suddenly, the light from the necklace flared, illuminating their faces as if the very object they had unearthed was filled with life? Eleanor blinked against the brilliance, shadows recoiling from its glow. The whisper returned, wrapping around her like an embrace. "Eleanor, it's time." The wind howled, drowning out her thoughts. She couldn't leave now. Something drew her in, a sense of urgency mounting. Taking a deep breath, she stepped toward the dark woods, a sudden wave of warmth enveloping her. "Wait!" Sarah shouted, but Eleanor's feet kept moving. The forest seemed to open up, revealing a narrow path lined with glimmering stones. Each step felt electric, as if the earth beneath her was alive. Lucy followed closely, eyes wide, while Sarah hesitated just a few steps back, crossing her arms protectively. "Eleanor, we can't just go blindly into the woods. Maybe we're meant to discover what's ahead," Lucy chimed in, casting a glance back at Sarah. "This feels like our adventure." Eleanor turned back to Sarah, who looked torn between fear and a growing curiosity. "I know it's risky," but Eleanor felt a surge of determination. "I need to find out who my grandmother really was." Finally, Sarah exhaled, following them reluctantly, and soon they were walking deeper into the shadows, the glow of the necklace illuminating their path. The whisper grew bolder, insistent, pulling Eleanor forward. What would they uncover among the twisting roots and ancient trees? Suddenly, the path widened into a clearing, and ahead loomed an old stone archway, enshrined in ivy and mystery. The air buzzed with an electric energy, and beneath the arch, a faint outline of figures blurred in and out of focus danced on the edge of perception. "Do you see that?" Lucy gasped, pointing at the figures that flickered in the light. "It's like they're waiting for us." Eleanor's heart raced as the figures shifted. Should she step through the arch? What awaited them on the other side? As she approached, the laughter echoed again, ringing with sorrow and hope intertwined. Just beyond the threshold, Eleanor realized, might be answers to the questions of her family's past and perhaps even her own future. What if she began? But Lucy's eyes sparkled with anticipation. "Let us find out," Lucy urged, taking a bold step forward. As Eleanor and Lucy moved closer, Sarah lingered behind, her expression torn. "Wait!" She shouted once more, but the pull of the unseen felt stronger now than fear. With breathless resolve, Eleanor reached out, poised to cross the threshold. What awaited her on the other side? Thunder rumbled overhead, and a flash of lightning silhouetted the arch, illuminating what looked like a familiar shape hidden in the shadows. Was it truly ready to reveal itself, or was this just the beginning of another mystery begging to be unraveled? And then, as the light faded, the figures before them solidified, a clue emerging from the darkness. "Eleanor," the whisper beckoned again. "It's time to uncover the truth." With that tantalizing possibility hanging in the air, Eleanor took a deep breath, prepared for the risks ahead. What awaited them on this uncharted path would change everything. Eleanor stepped through the archway, her heart racing with a mixture of fear and excitement. The moment she crossed the threshold, the world shifted around her. The air was thick with warmth and a humidity that felt almost alive, wrapping around her like a soft, wet blanket. Lucy followed closely, her eyes wide with wonder, while Sarah hesitated, peeking into the unknown from behind the arch, her voice barely a whisper. "I don't think we should." A wave of shimmering light burst from the necklace, glinting off the stone around them and casting shadows that danced in wild patterns. The figures that had flickered before them now stood tall, their forms sharp and vivid. Eleanor blinked, trying to make sense of what she was seeing. The figures were of women, all of them holding onto something that glowed faintly. Each face was different, yet they shared a striking resemblance to her grandmother. Eleanor, one of the figures said, her voice gently echoing, as if it belonged to the very fabric of the forest. "We've been waiting for you." Eleanor stepped closer, breathless. "Who are you?" The figure smiled, a warmth radiating from her like sunlight breaking through clouds. "Your grandmother made a choice long ago, one that set events in motion. We are the keepers of her legacy, and it is finally time for you to learn the truth." Eleanor's mind raced. Each woman seemed to transcend time, wrapped in both nostalgia and wisdom. "What do you mean? What did she choose?" The figures exchanged glances, and the one in the forefront nodded. "She protected a secret that touches the very essence of your family. Millions can change hands, but love and stories last forever." "Don't trust them," Sarah urged, stepping forward, her voice sharp. "This could be a trap. We have no idea what we're getting into." "Sarah, I need to do this," Eleanor replied, her voice steadying as determination surged within her. "If there is something about my grandmother I have to know." "If you're sure," Lucy added, her eyes brimming with unshed tears. "But we'll face this together, right?" The warmth around Eleanor intensified, and the laughter she had heard earlier reverberated again, louder, clearer, almost gentle, as if coaxing them forward. She took another step, and a portal of shimmering light erupted in front of her. It pulsed with energy, beckoning her nearer, igniting her curiosity. "You are the vessel of our truth, Eleanor," the woman continued. "The necklace you hold is more than a family heirloom, it is your key to understanding where you come from. We will show you." With a trembling heart, Eleanor took a deep breath and stepped into the light. She felt the world spin around her, colors whirled into streams of memories and shadows, images of past moments intertwined with laughter, betrayal, and love. Faces she recognized mixed with those she didn't, and stories danced like fireflies in a summer night. Then, suddenly, she was in a new setting. A grand banquet hall, filled with laughter just like the echoes in the forest. Eleanor could see her grandmother across the room, young and vibrant, wearing the same necklace that now hung from her neck. "What is this?" Eleanor gasped, feeling a rush of emotions she hadn't anticipated. "It is a glimpse of your past, a chapter that has been hidden," the woman explained, stepping closer. "You possess the ability to change your family's narrative." Eleanor struggled to comprehend. "But why?" "Because, sweet child," the figure said, her voice calming, "only you can embrace the truth. You hold the power to decide how it will be told. Now, it's time to step forward." Eleanor's heart raced as the past beckoned. What lay ahead? Could she really change the course of history for her family? As she stared at her grandmother's youthful smile, a wave of hope washed over her. What she didn't expect was a dark shadow creeping in from a corner of the banquet hall, disrupting the joyful memories, throwing everything into uncertainty. Who was that lurking in the shadows? And what truth did they hold that could alter everything Eleanor thought she knew? Eleanor's heart raced as she watched the dark shadow loom closer in the banquet hall. It wasn't just a shadow of the past, it was a presence steeped in foreboding. Her eyes darted back to her grandmother, blissfully unaware of the danger creeping into her world. Who is that?" she whispered, the question almost caught in her throat. As if hearing her thoughts, the figure stepped into the light, revealing a man whose face was familiar yet foreign, a mix of harsh lines and hidden pain. "He was your grandfather," the ethereal figure beside Eleanor murmured, her voice tinged with empathy. "What?" Eleanor's breath caught. But I never that S because his story was buried alongside your grandmother S. They made a choice to protect you from a past riddled with conflict. Eleanor watched closely as her grandfather's expression shifted from one of joy to turmoil. She sensed a tempest of emotions swirling within him. What did he do? The figure replied softly, he loved her too deeply, but his love was intertwined with secrets that could destroy everything. The necklace holds the key to that legacy. Eleanor's mind spiraled as she absorbed this new revelation. Her grandfather had been hiding, perhaps even fleeing. What had he done to justify their separation? With renewed urgency, she turned to the shimmering portal that flickered behind her. Can I know the truth? Can I confront him? Only if you're ready to face the consequences, the figure warned, her gaze heavy. Eleanor's pulse quickened. Facing the truth would mean untangling the web of pain and joy that had shaped her family. It felt monumental, but it was a chance she couldn't let slip away. Taking a deep breath, she nodded resolutely. I have to know. Just as Eleanor stepped toward the darkness surrounding the shadow, the gluttonous figure stopped her. Wait. First, understand this, the truth can heal, but it can also expose wounds. Are you committed to facing it all? Yes. She replied, both fearlessly and fearfully. I am ready for it. I want to rewrite our family legacy. With a nod of approval, the figure gestured toward the shadow. Then step into your past, and embrace the turmoil that comes with it. Eleanor advanced, her heart racing as she stepped into the uncertainty. The moment she entered the darkness, a wave of memories crashed over her like a roaring tide. She felt the echoes of laughter, joy, heartbreak, and loss intertwining shadows wove in and out like a haunting melody of her family's untold narrative. Suddenly, she found herself back in the banquet hall, but positioned closer to the figure of her grandfather. The laughter of her grandmother floated around her, as she watched her youthful self approach the shadow. The scene felt alive and surreal. Please, we can talk about this. We can work through it. Her grandmother urged, but the shadow grimaced, unable to embrace the light. The proximity between them became unbearably charged. Tell her the truth, Michael. Eleanor's voice erupted, surprising even herself. The shadow turned with shock, and for the first time, those haunting eyes met hers. Eleanor, he whispered, as if recognizing the kindred bond that tied them together. Don't run from it. She called, empowered by the truth of her discovery. You owed her that much. His pride fell, the facade cracking under the weight of love and regrets. I wanted to protect her from the darkness I carry, he confessed, pain etched in his features. Every choice I made was to shield her from the family secrets that had scarred us all. Eleanor took a step closer, her voice steady. But those scars also shape us. I needed to know. We needed to know. Eleanor felt a surge of understanding bridge the gap between her ancestors. It was a tether created through shared grief and love, and it anchored her in this moment. Let me help you find your light again. Her grandmother's eyes glistened with tears as she moved toward Michael, extending her hand. We were meant to face everything together. We don't have to hide anymore. Unexpected warmth surged forth as those intertwined emotions began to lift the heavy shadows, revealing melancholic faces softened by hope. The stories and secrets bonding them were finally coming to light. And in that pivotal moment, Eleanor realized that she wielded the power to reshape the narrative of her family. We can heal together, she urged, reaching out to Michael. None of us have to carry this burden alone. As their hands met, the resonance of those long-buried truths surged through the room, an invisible thread binding generations, weaving a new legacy fueled by reconciliation and understanding. Eleanor's heart soared, and the air shimmered with the magic of transformation. The dark memories that once loomed like a storm cloud dissipated, replaced by the warm embrace of connection and family warmth. Together, they stood 3 generations determined to mend broken ties with love, drawing strength from vulnerability. Love would be their foundation now. As the banquet faded around them, Eleanor took comfort in the glowing necklace, a constant reminder of her family's journey to healing, an emblem of hope that validated the power of truth. It was finally time to step back into their own world, renewed and ready to create the narrative they deserved. And just like that, the truth not only set them free but guided them home. Now, it's your moment to be part of this journey. You need to subscribe now to not miss the next exclusive stories that will inspire you to seek your own truths. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm and keep the magic alive, for every like counts and means more stories just like this one. Comment below with your reactions and feelings about tonight's ending. You never know who you might inspire. And don't wait not even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this transformation. It could change everything for them, just like it did for Eleanor and her family. Your support is the lifeblood of this channel, and true fans know the power of community.